So Saji Sharma, the guy who has earrings like a clown, like a circus clown, he exposes why Indians love Trump so much, but he doesn't even talk about Narendra Modi. He doesn't even talk about Hindutva. He doesn't talk about BJP. He doesn't talk about India's ties to the Zionist entity. Like, he won't even touch that topic with a 5-foot stick. He's not even willing to do research on that topic. And again, he reduces his discourse to surface level, really shallow surface level pop culture punditry. So let's take a listen to see what Saji Sharma has to say.
The South Asian community is not a monolith. As we've covered on this channel extensively, the South Asian diaspora is the most culturally and ethnically diverse in the world. From India,
Look how soft this guy looks with his earrings.
To the Nepalese, to Sri Lankans, to Punjabis, to Tamils, to Pakistanis, to even Indian Trump supporters.
Who does this guy think he is? An Indian Sam Sulek with his little earrings? Aw, this guy.
Hey, we're here to help bring our community together instead of further apart. No matter how far apart we actually are. Everyone has family members that they dislike. But we still gotta love them anyways. But just because we love them doesn't mean we can't talk shit. And who loves gossip more than Indian aunties?
I'll tell you who loves gossip more than Indian aunties. Arab uncles. Oh, we love gossiping about politics, soccer. We love gossiping about MMA. We love gossiping about kickboxing. Arab uncles, we gossip about everything. Trust me, I'm Arab, and I'm at that age of my life where I'd probably be considered an uncle.
So let's do like the aunties and talk some shit. Today we're talking about our own community and some of the faults that lie within. Like when I lied within the last 5 seconds and said that Indian Trump supporters are part of the Indian diaspora. They are in the diaspora, of course, but because they're Indian, not because they're Trump supporters. So good news. Actually, we get to rag on them all we want because it'll have nothing to do with their given identity, but rather their chosen identity. But don't worry if you are an Indian Trump supporter, because I can never be as vicious and as merciless as the Indian aunties themselves. In fact...
And this is the difference between Desis and Arabs. Arabs, when we roast sellouts in our community, we are vicious and we are vicious. We are like hardcore on them. We go all in on them. The Desis, a little bit soft. But again, when you're from a slow twitch population full of sellouts, what can I say? That's, again, Desis are a slow twitch population, terrible ACTN3 genotype, full of sellouts.
I can hear them talking about me right now. There has been an uptick in support for Trump among Indian Americans from 22% saying they would vote for Trump in 2020 to 31% in 2024. All the while, Harris votes saw a drop from 68% to 60%. Today I want to dive into these numbers because while it seems like the Democratic Party still holds a relatively significant lead with the Desi demographic, Indian Americans have become the most reliable demographic for Trump behind white and Hispanic voters. Now, this video is mainly going to cover Indian Americans rather than Indian support for Trump in India. One, because that's enough content for another video entirely, and also because I don't feel quite comfortable enough with Indian politics yet. And
you don't feel comfortable with Indian politics? You're not willing to do the damn research? You're not willing to do the research? Lazy ass. Lazy. That's just lazy and intellectually dishonest. I mean, at least he's saying he's not comfortable, but do your research, son. He won't even touch Hindutva or address Hindutva with a 10-foot stick. He won't even talk about how India are Zionist collaborators. There's Hindutva and there's BJP. I know more about his own country than this man, and I'm not even from there. I'm Lebanese, Palestinian, Yemeni, Saudi, Omani, Emirati, and Iraqi. And I know more about this man's country than him. Now, granted, my older cousin did marry an Indian. My older cousin's English, Iraqi, and Georgian. and Dutch, but I know more about this man's country than his own self, than he knows about his country.
Said, we have a big community, so if I say the wrong thing, I have the world's largest diaspora to answer to.
Well, guess what? The fact that this man won't talk about India and the Zionist entity raises a big flag. So check it. This is from Nida Arif. Zionism in India, an old alliance of bigotry and colonialism. And there's Narendra Modi and Benjamin Netanyahu. So this is from July 15, 2023. And it talks about the hostile homelands, the new alliance between India and the Zionist entity, which was by Azad Essa, good journalist, one of the few South Asian journalists I actually rock with, mostly because he's Muslim. Again, I'm Muslim too. My mom's side of the family is Muslim. So Azad Essa's Hostile Homelands is one of the new, most comprehensive accounts that have come up in recent years about the new alliance between the Zionist entity and India. The new alliance, as Essa proves, is actually quite old. Thus, the book is set up as an exploration of both the historical background and ideological underpinnings of this ever-blossoming relationship. Essa argues that the Zionist entity has increasingly become the cornerstone of India's foreign policy, with India's treatment of Kashmir bearing close resemblance to the Zionist entity's settler colonial project. Essa is a South African, of Desi background, journalist who has covered both Palestine and Kashmir extensively. Again, one of the few Desi journalists I actually trust. The subjects of his book and the book serves as a tremendous act of solidarity with people in these two hostile homelands. Essa begins by tracing out the first few contacts that were made between the Indian national movement and Zionist movement. It starts with Jawaharlal Nehru's 1936 address. He was then a leader in the movement, in which he vehemently denounced the settler colonial tendencies of the Zionist movement. However, it would be Nehru himself, as the first prime minister of an independent India, who would establish back-channel communications with the Zionist entity and even try to include it in the 1955 Badung Conference. Badung is kind of a fitting name for a conference regarding India, if you know what I mean. The answers to these contradictions lay in the Hindu nationalist ideology called Hindutva, which, despite secular posturing of the Indian national movement and later the Republic of India, has always dominated the Indian polity. Many leaders of India's anti-colonial struggle were unmistakably Islamophobic and admired the Zionist movement for the same. The deep-rooted Islamophobia of India's national movement precipitated insecurities in its largest religious minority, Muslims. This in turn resulted in one of the most brutal episodes of population transfers in modern history, the partition of British India into the republics of India and Pakistan. Even after the 75 years of independence and partition, India has done little to both acknowledge that shameful aspect of its history or address it. For a greater part of its history, India has been able to maintain the image of a secular and modern democracy. It is only within the rise of its current regime that its Islamophobia became evident to the people outside the subcontinent. But Hindutva is not just about Islamophobia. It is more importantly about casteism. And I'm reading up about the casteism. I don't know much about that. But you can see why Trump, a notable Islamophobe and Zionist, and what's his face, Modi, another Islamophobe and Zionist, would be best buds. And you could see that with the involvement of Tulsi Gabbard in the Trump regime. Tulsi Gabbard, even though she's not actually Indian, she's Samoan and German. She's half Samoan, half German. She is a Hindu. She is a Hindutva. She is an Islamophobe. And the fact that she has committed war crimes against people in Asia and Africa, and given her involvement in the Trump regime, you can kind of start, and Vivek Ramaswamy or whatever the frick his name is, he's Indian, he's involved in the Trump regime. You can see Kash Patel, right? You can see the ties between Trumpism, Zionism, and Hindutva kind of intertwine themselves just by looking at the Trump regime itself, right? And the fact that this man, Saji Sharma, the guy with earrings, looking like a clown with earrings. By the way, any man that has earrings is cringe. Sorry, DK Metcalf. But any man that has earrings is cringe. And if I ever got earrings, my Arab grandparents would have disowned me. My Arab mom would have disowned me, right? My half Arab dad would have disowned me. So, again, cringe. Earrings equals cringe. Casteism is a social system where people are divided from birth into a system of hierarchy. This system is so unique to the Indian subcontinent that there are few parallels in the world, and it dominates every aspect of the Indian polity. The caste system has been in place for at least 2,000 years, and according to it, is divided into 4 strata: Brahmins, Kshatriya, Vaishya. So Brahmins are priestly class, Kshatriyas are warriors, Vaishyas merchants, artisans, tradesmen, and farmers, Shudras laboring class. These 4 categories have unique local adaptations in the vast Indian subcontinent, and each of these adaptations is known as jati. People born outside this system are called outcasts, or as they have been labeled themselves, Dalits. This also includes India's tribal population, a significant number in themselves. For most of India's history in the last 2,000 years, Shudras, Dalits, and tribal populations have remained under brutal domination of the upper class, with very few examples of successful political challenges to it. There is, however, a long tradition in India challenging the spiritual dominance of the upper castes, same thing, aka the Brahmins. Nevertheless, the material reality for the lower castes and outcasts continues to be deplorable. It is important to mention that casteism in India is not just confined to Hindus. Adherents of other faiths like Christianity and Islam also practice casteism. But it is in the Hindu scriptures that casteism gets its theological basis and teeth for continuous dominance. It was only under the British rule that a significant material challenge was posited against the upper caste dominance, mainly through the avenues of social mobility that opened with the modern education system. The response to this challenge to casteism was the Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh, the RSS, the parent body to the current ruling party of India, the Bharatiya Janata Party, the BJP. The RSS is not an electoral force in the sense that it does not contest elections under its name. However, its political offshoots like the BJP do so in its place. The RSS is the most highly organized, resourceful, and influential organization in India. Its members occupy significant positions in all 3 branches of the Indian state: judiciary, executive, and legislature. Zionism, like India's caste system, is a supremacist ideology that entitles certain people to exclusive rights based on religion. Zionism seeks to establish an ethnic Jewish state in historical Palestine, emptied of all other ethnicities or faith. And my family in Palestine is largely Druze and Orthodox Christian, right? So check it. I'm part Palestinian. My Lebanese family is Druze, Melkite Christian, and Shia Muslim. My Palestinian family is largely Druze and Orthodox Christian, right? My Arabian family on my grandpa's side, the Saudi family that I have, and the Yemeni family I have on my grandpa's side are Sunni Muslim. On my grandma's side, my Arabian ancestry and my Arabian family is Yemeni and Omani, but Shia Muslim. You get it? And my Emirati family, I have both Sunni and Shia. Whereas my Iraqi ancestry on my dad's side is mostly Assyrian Christian. On my mom's side, it's mostly Shia Muslim. So that's kind of like a religious breakdown of my ancestry. Just to clarify a wee bit, so I don't sound like I'm contradicting myself when, I've clearly done my research, right? So, Hindutva similarly wishes to establish a Hindu Rashtra, or Hindu nation, in the Indian subcontinent, where the social order of casteism is practiced without the challenges brought about by the modern education system and polity. The two ideologies share much in common and therefore have become natural allies. Essa is especially impressive when he studies this crossbreeding between Hindutva and Zionism in an overlooked arena of the Indian polity. The Indian diaspora in the USA, Essa is especially impressive when he studies this crossbreeding between Hindutva and Zionism in an overlooked arena of the Indian polity. The Indian diaspora in the USA. He carefully lays out the caste composition of this group, and moreover, he outlines in detail how leaders of the Indian diaspora modeled their highly successful lobbying structures on those of the leading Zionist lobby group, AIPAC. Indeed, AIPAC leaders actively assisted the Indian American Center for Political Action, IACPA, in copying AIPAC's structure and modus operandi. So, this is a topic that Saji Sharma, the ties between the Indian lobby in America and AIPAC, he won't touch this with the 10-foot stick. He won't touch BJP or RSS with a 10-foot stick. Why? Well, geez Louise. First of all, I think this man, Saji Sharma, I don't know why I'm calling him a man if he wears earrings. First of all, this man probably profits off of YouTube. He probably makes money from YouTube. How much you want to bet there's Hindutvas involved with YouTube? Second of all, he probably has relatives that are, RSS or BJP. I don't know this man's background, but I'm willing to make a prediction of this, So the fact that he's unwilling to do his own research, the fact that he's unwilling to talk about, RSS and BJP's ties to, the Zionist lobby, that shows us a big red flag. So yeah, Kashmir and Palestine. In chapters 4 and 5, Essa traces 7 decades of India's troubled history with Kashmir. Kashmir has strong parallels with the Zionist entity's settler colonial project in Palestine and has often been remarked on by both Kashmirs and Palestinians. While Palestine's history is known to the general readership of this paper, again, this was in Mondaweiss, Kashmir suffers in ignorance. Kashmir became a part of India in 1947 when the country gained independence. Its secession to India was highly disputed and no measures were taken by the newly independent country to ensure popular will. It was then, as it is now, a predominantly Muslim state and might have allied itself to the Islamic State of Pakistan, then a Hindu-majority India. There has never been a plebiscite on the matter or any attempt to account for the popular will. Kashmir and 2 other provinces, Jammu and Ladakh, became the northernmost state of India, Jammu and Kashmir, and was granted special provisions under the Indian Constitution's Articles 370, which ensured some degree of autonomy. Most provisions of this section have been systemically diluted in the last few decades, and it was dealt the final blow in 2019. In 2019, India under Modi took away all forms of autonomy from Kashmir and reduced it to a federally ruled body with no avenue for self-rule. Kashmir is the world's most militarized zone, and it is in Kashmir that India's military cooperation with the Zionist entity and the lessons it learned can be seen. Whatever is tested on Palestine is adopted for Kashmiris. So Essa questions the narrative of the genocide of the Kashmiri Pundits, which is often used to justify increased military operations and increased Indian military operation in Kashmir, and crush any demand for self-governance by the Kashmiris. It has been a mainstay of any discourse on Kashmir, especially in the last few years, and helped to galvanize popular sentiments against Kashmir. It is necessary for Indians to know that there has never been any official investigation of the genocide, for India never allowed it to happen, and also that the government itself facilitated the said exodus. The last chapter of the book explains the rapid land grab and numerous rights violations in Kashmir since 2019. The book ends with the short account of the repression of the popular protests that followed the passing of another anti-democratic law, the Citizenship Amendment Act, CAA, which bears striking similarities with the Zionist entity's nation-state law. As someone who was part of those sit-ins and stood witness to the brutal violence that was used to curb them, it was in those protests I found and put my hopes. We continue to hold on to that. As for people like myself living through the history, Essa tells hope can only be a verb. And this article is by Nida Arif who is a doctoral candidate, a PhD candidate in the Department of English at the University of Delhi. Her doctoral research is a study of the works of the Palestinian novelist, activist, and revolutionary Ghassan Kanafani. So shout out to Nida Arif, one of the other few people in Desi land that I really, really rock with, aside from Dialectics Unhinged and Azad Essa. Because we all seen the examples of people like Aisha Malik, Wajhat Ali, Farouk Mita from, the subcontinent selling out Arabs in a jiffy. Also Yusuf al-Baluchi, who's part Baluchi, but that's different than subcontinent populations. That's a whole nother video. So to sum it up, the Hindutva ideology, the Islamophobia of India, the Zionism of India, and then the Trump having those same ideologies, Hindutva, Islamophobia, and Zionism. Again, what does that tell us about the Indian diaspora in America? They're a bunch of Zionists and Islamophobes. Right? Most of them are. Especially the ones that are Hindu. And the casteism, the Brahmins, Nikki Haley, they're a bunch of Zionist Islamophobes and Hindutvas. Trump, Zionist, Islamophobe, Hindutva. He's not even Hindu. He's a Protestant, right? So the fact that Trump is building all these alliances with Islamophobes and Hindutvas, again, here's another picture. This is from Time Magazine. It's a 5-minute read. We'll see if I actually read it. But here's a picture of Trump and Modi. Not Trump and Modi. Netanyahu and Modi. And this is by Nicolas Plarel, who's an associate professor at Leiden University in the Netherlands and is author of The Evolution of India's Zionist Entity Policy. So check it. When Hamas launched Operation Al-Aqsa, when Hamas launched Operation Al-Aqsa against the Zionist entity on October 7, killing 1,200 people, Narendra Modi, like most world leaders, condemned. Oh, this guy's a Zionist cuck. This guy vilifies Hamas. I ain't reading it if this guy vilifies Hamas. Forget about it, as my man Mo Mozzarella would say. But Saji Sharma, what does this man have to say? Given the context that we have, what does this little opportunist have to say?
Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. I'm Saji Sharma, and I'm scared. Because we're going to be diving into and discussing cracks within our community and tracing them all the way back to their origins. Saji, that sounds like really important work. Why would you be scared? It is really important work. Thank you for saying that. And I don't doubt that I'm the right man for the job, but I'm scared because usually on this channel, we'll look at some evil white man ignorantly slandering the entirety of Indian people, to which we can all come together in unity and laugh at the audacity of these white men. But today, I'm going to be...
And here's the thing, man. That exists, but you also have to take out your dirty laundry. Look at me. I've exposed Noura Arakat. Okay? Noura Arakat is part of the Palestinian community. I'm part of the Palestinian community. I'll expose Justin Amash, who's also Palestinian. I'll expose, Muin Rabani. I'll expose Omar Barghouti for being also a liberal Zionist counterinsurgent. And, all the opportunism that Omar Barghouti has done, right? In Yemen, I'll talk crap about people down south who are U.S. aligned and Emirati aligned, right? In Iraq, I'll crap on the Kurds all day, dude. So it's not just calling out the English man and the German man and the Irish man. It's also about keep holding your own community accountable. And here's the thing, dude. I do that on my mom's side with Palestinians, with Lebanese. I call out the Maronites all the time. You know, I do that with Palestinians and Lebanese and Yemenis and Saudis and Emiratis and Omanis and Iraqis on my mom's side. And I do that, and the French people on my mom's side, because I'm half and half. I'm half Asian, half European. And I do that with the Iraqis and English on my dad's side, right? And the Georgians on my dad's side, only 2% of my background. But nonetheless, right? Like, I'll call out Tapuria for being a Zionist cuck. Tapuria is a great freaking fighter. But he fights for an organization. He fights in an organization that is owned by a literal Zionist, right? So I'll do that. I'll take out the sloppy seconds in my communities. Now it's your turn, bro.
Criticizing people within our own community. And as we know, that isn't as one-sided. Yes, Trump is the eye candy of today's video, as he is with any room that he walks into. But we'll be using Trump as a tool to further analyze some systemic issues in our culture. Things like traditionalism, how to not support your community, materialism, gender roles, and much more that's likely to get me into some hot water. But let's start off.
So this man goes and approaches this from, I mean, it's good he's talking about materialism, but he really approaches it from a liberal standpoint. The man won't touch Hindutvaism. He won't touch Hindutvaism with a 10-foot stick. He won't touch Zionism in this video with a 10-foot stick. He won't touch Islamophobia in this video with a 10-foot stick. Probably because he may or may not. Now, I do think he might be pro-Palestine because of videos he's previously made. But the Islamophobia and the Hindutva ideologies, he won't touch those with a 10-foot stick. And those are big problems in the Desi community. Again, my older cousin, who is Iraqi and English on his dad's side and Dutch on his mom's side, he married an Indian. Okay? He married an Indian. Like, he literally wore a chemise kalwar to his own wedding. My dad's older brother, who is English and Iraqi, with a little Georgian mixed in, literally wore a chemise kalwar to his oldest son's wedding. Like, this is facts, Jack. So, again, I have a cousin-in-law who is from India. And my older cousin is Iraqi, English, Dutch, and Georgian. So I'm pretty qualified to talk about this. And also, I'm Muslim. My mom's family is from largely a Muslim background, especially in the context of Lebanon, South Lebanon, that is, Saida, Sur, Nabatiyeh, those particular cities. You know, the Beqa Valley as well. And then also my Yemeni side, on my maternal grandma's side, is Shia Muslim. The Omani side is Shia Muslim. My grandpa's side is the Saudi and Yemeni parts of his family are Sunni Muslim. So I think I'm, as somebody who's half Arab and whose maternal side is Muslim and whose maternal lineage is Muslim. And peep the man's bookshelf. This man is a liberal Zionist. He has a Naomi Klein book on his bookshelf. This man is a liberal Zionist. He's uncritically reading, which is crazy because he also has a Che Guevara poster and a, looks like electric guitar, on his wall and on his bookshelf. So the fact that this man's uncritically reading Naomi Klein, but thinks he's a revolutionary because he has a Che Guevara poster. And by the way, Naomi Klein's a liberal Zionist. We've exposed her before. We'll expose her again. But this is crazy, man. So this is everything you know about Saji Sharma. He won't touch Hindutva or Islamophobia or Zionism in this video with a 10-foot stick. Nonetheless, a 5-foot stick. This man has earrings. You know, he's got a Naomi Klein book on his bookshelf. Red flags galore. So there you go. Never trust this man.